Hi, Abdullah here. I'm a full stack Web3 builder who has worked across both public and private blockchains on an enterprise level. Today, we are diving into the most searched questions about Web3 and blockchain development. I will try to answer all those questions along with the best solution that is out there in the market. So let's dive into it. So the first question is, what is Web3 and how does it differ from Web2? Very good question, and I think it's the most fitting question. The main difference is on Web2, you have a central data server, which is not the most secure server out there. So it can be hacked, security can be breached, and users basically don't have complete ownership over their own data. That data can be sold to organizations, etc., even to government, and basically it's not secure. On Web3, you have a lot more control over your data. So you have access to your data, you have control over your data of what you want to like show to users or not, and it is stored across multiple like servers. How it is like best is because if like one server is breached, there are other 99 servers that have the same data, so it is completely not tampered with. So it, by making it decentralized, it is making it more tamper proof. Also, it is more secure than other Web2 servers that are out there. It has advanced encryption, advanced cryptography mechanisms that make it more secure. So the second question is, what is the best blockchain for Web3 development? Good question. Based upon my development experience, Internet Computer Protocol is the best blockchain out there. It is faster than other blockchains. It is secure than other blockchains out there, and also it has advanced data storage capabilities which other blockchains do not have. So that is why I will say ICP. So the third question is, how do I build decentralized applications from scratch? It is a very good question. It's kind of like more towards a developer friendly question than a normal user question, but I will tell you. Basically, it depends upon what is the blockchain you're using. If you're using blockchain like Ethereum, you will need to use Web2 stack that is out there for like front-end development, etc., hosting, etc. But if you're using something like ICP, everything can be built on ICP. So the entire dApp can be created on ICP on Web3 stack. Okay, so the fourth question is, how do I onboard non-crypto users without wallets or seed phrases? Okay, so it's basically that Web2 user want to come on board to Web3 and he's not willing to create wallets on Web3 for some reason. Okay, so the first thing is that when you're using Web3 based applications, you need to have some sort of like a identifier. For that, you need a wallet. For that, the most used one is MetaMask. So it is kind of necessary to use it. If you don't want to use it, you can use another service like Internet Identity, etc., to like authenticate yourself on Internet Computer Protocol. It is also there. So you can use it on there and you can get yourself logged in and you can get yourself identified. So yeah. Okay, so the fifth question is a very important question. How do I reduce or eliminate gas fees in my dApp? So that is one of the most painful things for a Web3 user is when he's using these dApps, you need to pay fees again and again for like a lot of these actions. For example, you want to like somebody's post, you need to pay fees to like that. So it is quite painful, and the best solution I have for this is ICP. What ICP do is that they have gas already within their like smart contract. It is already prepaid. So the person who's creating the application, the deployer of the application, is already fulfilling it with these gas, which is basically used on ICP as cycles. So what happens is that the users who are using the dApps do not need to pay anything, and it's quite cheap as well. So for the developers who are creating it, for the users who are building these applications, it doesn't cost so much, so they are happy that hey, we can fill it with $5 worth of like ICP and it can last for 10 users easily. So for 50 like dollars, they can easily fulfill satisfy needs of over 100 like users. So it is quite cheap, it is quite useful in that sense. This is kind of the cost that Web2 hosts need to pay as well. It is basically called reverse gas model, and its like cost is comparable with the Web2 servers out there. So yeah, that is very useful. So in order to avoid these fees, you first need to build your application on which platform these like fees do not occur. One of them is ICP. There are other out there as well, but they're expensive. ICP is the most cheapest out there. Sixth question is, how do I store large files like images, videos, PDFs on chain? So I will try to explain you from what kind of application to what kind of application, what is the best solution. If you're like do not have like any images, etc., again you can use any blockchain out there. But if you want to store data for like few gigabytes of data, and then ICP is very, and that is the most recommended chain. That is why I also use ICP, is because I can store hundreds of gigabytes of data on ICP, images, videos, etc., without losing speed, etc. So that is where ICP is good. But if there is a case in which you need to store terabytes of data, couple of terabytes of data, then I recommend you to use IPFS, decentralized data storage solutions. If you have data even more than that, few hundred terabytes of data, then I recommend to simply use Web2. So yeah, moving on to the next question, how do I make my dApp load fast and smooth? As a Web2 application, you basically build it. If you want these like high speeds, build it on modern chains out there, old chains. Even the L2 solutions that are even some of the new ones aren't that fast. So again, ICP is good for that. Solana is decent as well. So yeah, you need to build those applications there if you want to make those dApps fast. There are like other things as well. You need to, if you like cache the data on servers, etc., that can make these like applications faster as well, but that doesn't have like that much effect. The most core thing is to build it on such a blockchain that is like very fast. Question number 8 is, how can I scale my dApp for millions of users without performance issues? It is kind of related to the above questions that we have discussed so far. So if you want to scale your applications for millions of users without like performance issues, then you basically what most of the applications do is they build it on Web2. If you still want to keep it on Web3 and for millions of users, then you don't store videos, images, etc. If you want to store any videos, images, etc. for hundreds of millions of users, I will recommend you to not use Web3, use Web2. It is going to be much better solution. So yeah, that is my. You can use like hundreds of thousands of canisters and scale them as well, but I don't recommend it. It's kind of like putting yourself in like a lot of headache, a lot of fees, etc., etc., etc. Not an efficient solution. The thing that is the most important in when you're developing these applications is build an efficient solution. This is not an efficient solution to build it like this, so I will recommend to use Web2. How do I future proof and update smart contracts without breaking them? A very big issue that arises when we are working with these applications is that our like smart contracts can be created once, they are deployed once, and then they cannot be modified, which is important for most of the logic out there, that is for like funds transfer, etc., etc. But for example, I want to create a record of my products and now I cannot upgrade my smart contract. What I need to do is every like couple of weeks for a single like update for my data model, I need to create a new smart contract and need to create that contract and change everything with that respect, which is quite like a big task, quite a headache task. So yeah, there are like smart contracts out there that are upgradable, which I recommend. Again, ICP smart contracts are upgradable. There are two types of smart contract on internet computer protocol. One is the void canisters, which cannot be upgraded. Void smart contracts cannot be upgradable, and there are like upgradable smart contracts which can be upgraded. It's very good for like these like product based applications which need to be updated every couple of weeks. So in that case, again, ICP smart contract are going to be more useful. They are upgradable and they can be upgraded with time. But when you're like doing this, you need to tell your users, hey, what kind of smart contracts we are using here. So if you are creating upgradable smart contracts, just communicate that with your users. The final question is, how can I make my dApp secure from hacks, exploits, and rug pulls, etc., etc.? So if you're like creating these smart contracts and a lot of users are going to use it, get that smart contract audited with a proper firm, and then you can say that, hey, this is audited by this firm, and then you can ask your users to use it. You need to be transparent with your tokenomics. People like me, developers like me, they know what is happening behind the scenes of a smart contract. We can go on that smart contract source code and we can see whether this is transparent or not. If it's not, we will just like be okay, this is not like transparent. Build the smart contract, get that smart contract audited and communicate it effectively to your users and make your code to be viewable to users. Have any questions, need consultation, want to develop a project? The best way to do so is head to our website systemlogic.online, go into the contact section. From there you can see email, you can contact us through email, through phone number, or you can directly book a consultation using our form, which is also on-chain Web3 on ICP. And from there you can book a consultation for a project, for a simple query, or for whatever you want. So yeah, it is 100% free. Let's collaborate to create a fully decentralized Web3 future.